Today's episode is brought to you by 9centprinting.com. With over 100 five-star reviews, 9centprinting.com is ready to meet all your printing needs. Are you a church plant or small church with no copy machine? No problem. 9cent Printing has you covered. If you need bulletins, flyers, books, cards, offering envelopes, posters, they do it all. I know the Christian owners of this business personally, and I'm not just a fan, I'm also a customer. Fast, nationwide shipping, affordable, professional, wow printing at wow prices. Check them out at 9centprinting.com. Welcome to the Small Town Pastor Podcast. This podcast is a ministry of Small Town Network. We exist to make disciples, train pastors, and plant churches in smaller communities. My name is Eric Nielsen. I'm joined by Tony Colomb, who's always with me, faithful, tried, and true. How are you, Tony?
Doing great.
Good, man. And then today we're joined, this is our only and first reoccurring guest, privileges for planters. Evan Berry is with us again. Evan joined us one time when we were kind of getting started, when he was getting started. And good to have you back, Evan. How you doing?
Hey, doing good, man. Loving it.
Living the church planting dream right now.
Yes, bringing it to us, man. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, we actually had someone cancel when I was talking to Evan. I was like, hey, why don't you just come on and do like an update, like a 1 year in? A lot of times church plants, people talk about planters and two planters and stuff when they're starting, but once it's started, that's, it's kind of old news or whatever. But we're a network that's trying to raise up planters from within local churches and obviously help people plant churches. And I think it'd be great to just talk about like what it's been like. So you did this thing that people think they want to do. You're 1 year into it. Like, how's it going? So why don't you start on a personal level and talk about what's it been like for you and your family? You've got a full-time job, you've got a career. You're actually our only non-paid church planter. You provide for yourself through your family business, and then in addition to all that, you have a family and a church. So you're doing a lot. What's it been like for your family to plant a church together?
Yeah, man. Well, one of the ways that I've been like super blessed is we had a pretty long lead in to the planting process. It's about 3 years. So Katie and I were able to really take our time. My wife's name is Katie. And really figure out, like, is this the calling? And I think I told you guys maybe last time, we call ourselves reluctant church planters, because we tried just about everything else in our town to get disciple making off the ground, except for that, until the door was so wide open and obvious that we were like, yes, God. We will be those people. It looks like you're sending us. We had to confirm for about 3 years, but I guess you're sending us. And I don't say reluctant in a negative way. I just say we tried every door before that. We're those guys.
Wasn't the goal.
Yeah, we're those guys.
Yeah.
So I've been super blessed to have a wife that not only supports it, but is just as passionate as I am to see disciple making come to Franklin County, to see people move from alone to belong, to see people move from spiritually disconnected to connected, not only to a body, but a growing relationship with Christ. So on a family level, I would say on the positive side, we were so missionally aligned walking into this and dedicated to the mission that it has been absolutely amazing to grow in that as a family and to have our kids experience it. I've got a 4-year-old, 7-year-old, 9-year-old, and we talk about it all the time. So like, I'm just wondering, when they're 25, when they're 30, when they look back, like, what is the great stuff about this? And what is is there going to be any hangups for them? You're like, oh, I was raised in this environment, but I think it's just going to be all good because we're just saturated in it, man. The challenges have been probably what you can already guess, which is there is no end to church planning. If you want it, to be, it can consume every second of every part of every moment of your life. And raising a family and having a full-time job is definitely something that we had to really look at in a way to go, how is this going to fit with everything we're doing to where we're not going crazy? Right. And so I think one of the things from the beginning that we've tried to step into, and some weeks fail and some weeks succeed, is hey, God controls the timing. And if he sends us 5 people or 0 people, if he sends us 10 people or 15 people, if he sends us a great tech team and it's working great, or if it doesn't, this is us just growing and planting and trying to figure it out as we go. And we really can't get upset with trying to mash the gas or control the timing, because we're doing this in a bivocational manner, and we're doing this to really bring this to Franklin County, but we're also doing this to make sure it's long lasting and generational, and it can last beyond just a quick energy on Facebook and then burn out by year 2.
Yeah.
You do have a lot of energy on Facebook. Your Facebook game is pretty legit. I'm not gonna lie.
Thanks, man.
It's better than ours. Yeah.
Well, I've got people that handle that, so thanks to them.
Well, I don't, or till recently I haven't, and it's already like going. I just handed it over like a week or two ago, and it's already
Yeah,
going way better. So shout out to Caitlin.
yeah.
She's doing great. But before it was me, and it was like meh.
Here, I'll give a shout out to my boy Cass. He's the one who runs it. That way I can forward the video to him. He'll
And then
watch
you'll
it.
have to watch, and we'll
There
get
you go.
another
You'll have
like another view.
I mentioned you.
That's right. So what's going well? Like, what are some of the things that, a year in, what's going well?
You know, I would say one of the things that is going really well when we're just looking at our worship service is the way our teams have developed. And I didn't anticipate that. I thought it was going to be a lot more difficult to really form the different teams. We've got a tech team, a hospitality team, we've got a welcome team, setup team, and we don't even have that many people. Like, I mean, the church is the teams,
Yeah,
we've got
yeah.
a kids team. And throughout that entire process, Katie and I and other members were praying for workers, and God, just like every family that kind of joined up, was just had that mentality of like, hey, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? So I really see on this front end God showing up and showing out, because it could be a whole lot more work on us. And when we first launched, it actually was. It was kind of like, hey, man, we've got to kind of carry this as we form it and try to figure out like what each team is, how it's defined and how it's going to run and what we're doing. But then, like, as we were establishing that, man, just God sent person after person after person to fill up those teams, and really and truly, and man, I'm in love with this. I just show up on Sundays now. The tech's set up, the chairs are set up, the banners are set up. If they're not, there's already a person in charge of going and getting those people to do that. And I'm just showing up and going, hey, I'm here to praise with the family of God and deliver a message. So even the tear down, I really don't have to mess with. I can really mingle with everybody. And that was not the way it was 12 months ago.
Yeah, I remember. I
So,
was
dude,
there.
I think that's going amazing. On the other side of kind of who we are is the home groups. And dude, I'm just so inspired and motivated by the home groups, because the home groups are really where we're seeing people walk and talk their faith out, mature and look more like Christ, and become disciple makers. And these leaders, man, they just keep emerging out of nowhere. Like, we keep plucking them out and finding them in these home groups and being like, okay, cool. Well, we've got a training manual. Do you want to do it? And me, I'm always expecting kind of like the no, but they always
Sure.
keep saying yes. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, and we've got this training seminar. We're gonna fly out over here. You want to go? I just had a guy this past 2 or 3 months where I said, man, I'm gonna fly up to New York and meet one of these churches that are really interested in us. Do you want to go? And it was like 2 months of kind of like, I don't see how that's going to work. And maybe, and I really do want to go. And then boom, it was like last week, he was like, I'm going. So I
Nice.
just see like all of this willingness. I think the willing hearts, the willingness of the hearts in our future leaders are going really, really well. And people are sacrificing time, energy, and money to actually go out of their way and join the Draw Near platform of making disciples through real relationships, one person at a time. So hopefully it's not too generic, but man, I think that's going amazing with the
That's
50 to
awesome.
60 people that we have.
It's great. That's great.
Oh, I think that's good, man.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you never saw coming about? I mean, like Tony and I, we were just talking with our friend Jake, and like we all went to Bible college. We kind of took
Yeah.
a more traditional route. We were planning on being a pastor from the beginning. We weren't like reluctant pastors, like that was our aim, right?
Yeah.
And so you kind of slid into this later in life, didn't go the
Yeah.
traditional route. What are some of the things again, we're trying to help people that might be interested in planting think
Right.
about what are some of the things you never saw coming have been more challenging than maybe you thought about?
That's a really good question, man. One of the things that really set me up for success is I've started things before. And so there was already a mentality that God kind of shoved in my heart through experience of like, you got to kind of roll with the punches as they come, and you're not going to be able to predict them all.
Mm.
So there, that's a little bit of a tougher question for me because as I look at it, you and I have talked about this a lot, Eric. I don't really look at it week to week like, here's the biggest mountain to climb, and here's this, and here's that. I look at it more like, hey, this is a tugboat, and we're just tugging along, and we're going to look up 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And if God keeps blessing it, we're going to pop up. It's hilarious to me when I started the moving company way back was when it became really, really successful. The people that looked at it were just like, kind of like, oh, you guys are just like an overnight success, and it's like, we've been working at it for 4 years, and I kind of feel that same pull here. I'm like, hey, we're just kind of meeting every challenge where it's at, just tugging along. And my suspicion is that 5-10 years down the road, man, we're going to have a real awesome disciple making hub in Franklin County. To kind of answer your question best I can, writing the sermons have been a challenge, but a rewarding challenge. Trying to figure out how to get into a rhythm of what does God have in me that's gonna be the most helpful for our church as I get up every single week and deliver a message without trying to compare, without trying to, I want to watch other preachers, and I do online, but not compare myself, not beat myself up and be like, man, look at how good they are, and like could I ever be on that level? Like that's been a big challenge for me is the comparison game. Of trying to really just calm down and go, hey, if God called me to this, which he did, and we checked it, which we did, then I'm enough. What he's put in me is enough,
That's right.
and it's not me doing it, but it's him.
Yep.
So it's been an interesting challenge on a personal level to try to figure out week to week, like how to write it, how to stay in my lane, how to give God the transformation and don't worry about that, and really do my due diligence on just trying to sink into what he's calling me to do from the stage every week. But also in the same breath, and I'm not even sure if I would call this a challenge. This is more of like a something that was inspiring. There's 2 or 3 guys already that are interested in kind of coming around and forming a sermon club with me. We've already had one guy this last year do his own sermon. So I'm still pulling in, like I would call them third-party preachers. They're not internal.
Third-party preachers.
We call them hired guns. It's a hired
You
plan.
accept these cookies? Yes, all
That's
cookies.
right. That's right. Third-party preachers that we're paying.
The church, of course, we accept cookies. So.
We're trying to raise a couple of guys up, man, and I expect this year, 2026, to have 2 or 3 more sermons from different guys. So just trying to figure that part of it out and really and not worry about it as much has been a challenge for me.
Yeah,
it's hard, man. Like, I don't think the thing that you said about preaching is a lot different for people that have gone the more traditional route. There's still, especially early on, when you have to do it every week, it's like, man, that's a thing.
Oh yeah.
You were doing groups every week for a couple of years before the church started. But writing a sermon every Sunday was not something for every Sunday. It was not something that you've been doing.
Right.
And, it might surprise people. Like, now that I'm a pastor of 30 years, I sat down and wrote a sermon on Saturday last week. And I wrote the entire thing in like 4 hours. 3-4 hours, I was done, start to finish.
Sure.
Well, early on, that's probably more of like a 15 to 20 hour exercise.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck in that right now.
Yeah. And you kind of hone the craft and you get reps in and it gets better, but tons of insecurity. I would, practice it out loud 2 or 3 times. Sunday morning, I'd be in my office at 6 o'clock before anybody else was at the church, preaching it again out loud one more time just to hear how it sounds and try to get it right. And man, I never do that stuff anymore. Right.
Wow.
And I'm not saying I shouldn't or don't need to, but it's changed. I've settled into.
And even
But Tony.
still, I feel like the comparison game thing is real, like regardless of the route you came in, or even if you've been preaching for 20 years on a regular basis, because a lot of us have relationships with other pastors, and then
Yeah.
it just becomes a thing where we kind of start to nerd out on church stuff and talking about preaching and sermons. And it's like I'm a part of this pastors group. It's through this ministry called Covenant Connections. And
Mm.
sometimes in that group, it's like, the conversation will be around this pastor and this sermon that they heard and this, and I'm just like, it's like I'm not up to that standard, and it's easy to get bogged down in that. Like I'm not the guy at the big church. I'm not the guy that's got this going on.
Sure.
Da, da, da.
Sure.
So whether it's new church, small church, established church, rural church, whatever, that's still something to fight,
Yeah,
long term, regardless.
my
It's just a
mentor,
matter.
Bill Putman, shout out to Bill. He's Jim Putman's dad. He would say to me, Eric, he's like, never make comparisons.
Mhm.
And he would say, he said this a dozen times. I can hear it in my head. Comparison kills.
Yeah.
Comparison kills. I just said
Yeah.
this in a sermon in my church here a couple weeks
Mhm.
ago. You're either going to be proud, you're going to compare yourself to other people and get proud,
Mhm.
or you're going to compare yourself to other people and get depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But either way, that's not healthy. So like, don't do it. You are who
Sure.
you are. You are where you're at. Your church is your church, not their church. And
Yeah.
just don't do it. But man, the flesh,
Oh yeah.
we
Well,
want to do that.
that goes hand in glove with, I will say that after our preview services, and I knew this was coming, but I tried to fight it with everything I had. We're just talking about year one, right? We're about to have our 1 year anniversary. But like the first 3 or 4 months, I'd say maybe even bleed that to 5 or 6, so I don't, embellish. But I was probably checking the numbers a little hard. I was probably going from, we started with like 15, and then, there'd be a Sunday where it was like 40. Man, like look at this room, and then like the
Yeah.
next Sunday it'd be like 21, and it was like,
Welcome to
what
ministry.
does that mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Does
yeah.
that mean something? What does it mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
man, just really just kind of riding the wave of getting something off the ground. It feels similar because I've been there a lot, but it's definitely challenging every time. I don't think you ever fully get used to that feeling of riding
Mhm.
those waves.
They say a lot of pastors, like live and die by the Sunday morning attendance numbers, you
Yeah,
know, and it's like it's a roller coaster of emotions.
yeah.
A hard life to live.
I know some guys that like they won't look at the numbers like every week, or they won't look at them until like Wednesday or something.
Mhm.
They don't want to taint the experience they had with God's people on Sunday by looking at a number right after service.
Sure.
Mhm.
Because you might in fact go, man, I had some great conversations with people and the message went really well. And then, you're on your way home and you look at your account and it ruined the whole thing. Took all the
Yeah.
joy out of it because the number
Yeah.
was low,
Yeah. Why were there 15 people less this week than last week? It could be
What did I
something
say
like that.
last week? Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
So,
So
and
yeah,
we're
I
still
mean,
small enough. I've got
I
all the
think
names memorized. So I'm like counting who was it there and what could it have been,
right,
eventually
right.
you'll get to where you can't anymore, and that'll
Yeah.
actually feel horrible and good that
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
enough people that you can't
Yeah.
remember them all anymore.
We're knocking on the door of it, man. I looked at our names the other day and I was like 70 plus. It's like 75. And I was like, oh man, I didn't even remember, these guys.
Well,
Yeah,
this
I
is
think
this. Go ahead, Tony.
that's a good thing to like bring up too, like as far as like a little bit of encouragement for people starting a church or getting new into church is like weekly attendance varies so much. You've got natural rhythms throughout the
Yeah.
year where attendance will go up or attendance will dip. You can almost guarantee after a big Sunday, the next Sunday is going to be low. I mean, you just got to have that in your
Yeah.
mind because
Yeah.
everybody showed up that week, so they're not going to be there the next week. But
Sure.
then you start looking at like who's in your database versus,
Mhm.
who comes on a regular basis, those numbers. And it's like if that database number is increasing and the
Yeah.
attendance is low, that's like I had to sit back because we switched all of our database stuff over here recently, and it was like, holy cow, we have a lot more people connected to our church.
Yeah.
Realize, like, just because
Yeah.
they don't all come on a Sunday morning, and it's
Yeah.
it's
That's what
it's a
happened to me, man. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like, oh, we are like we are actually reaching more people than I
Yeah.
think we are, so it's kind of good, and
Sure.
not not worry too much about like, well, why aren't they all coming every single Sunday?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have
yeah.
we should have a church of 500, not 220.
Well, exactly.
So
Yeah, I mean, like just for reference, I just looked while you guys were talking. Our database, we've got about like 100. It looks like right at 200 people that I would say at the moment are would consider our church the church they attend. Right. Not
Nice.
necessarily members or whatever, but like 200 people that are regular attenders. We had 140 on Sunday, and
Hmm.
that's a pretty normal number
It
for
sounds
us.
right.
So like, and when you start doing the math on it, like you have 200 people and 60 are gone every week. That's
That
yeah,
sounds right.
completely normal now. Now,
yeah,
in the old days, I don't think it was like that as much,
no,
But yeah, you had 60 people missing.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So the numbers, the Sunday morning attendance, why I'm saying this, doesn't always tell the story
Yeah.
hmm
of what's happening, right?
Right.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the hard part to remember.
Things you've mentioned already tell a great story because it's like, you think about those teams getting put together and the people stepping up and stepping in already,
Yeah.
and like a year in, and you're like not worrying about tear down
Right.
and setup. That is
Right.
awesome.
Yeah, man, it feels good. It feels good.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
worried about.
awesome.
I just helped my guys kind of get trained on doing the pre-sound checks and everything on the tech. So I was coming in and being like, "Hey, let's run through top to bottom the whole service." And now I got a guy that actually came to me, and I'm like, "Man, thank you, God." And he was like, "Hey, man, I want this off your plate." And so he's checking the sound through the whole service. He's doing the pre-walkthrough, and I'm just rolling in, going, "You guys are awesome."
Well, and the reality is that the more you do stuff like that, the more your foundation gets solidified. You have a more solid foundation to build on. Is
Mm,
when the planter is doing everything all the time, and there are seasons like where you have to do a little bit of that in the beginning, but
Yeah,
the quicker you can hand stuff off and empower people to own ministry and take care of things, in my experience, the quicker you start
yeah.
to really, you see those numbers go up.
I
So
have your line ringing in my head, Eric. I can't
which
remember
one?
it exactly, but I remember you told me one time in one of our coaching sessions, like, "Hey, man, I realized somewhere along this planting thing, like I'm the biggest barrier to church growth." And I
mm,
I'm
was
the
like,
I'm the bottom I'm the bottleneck.
the
yeah,
bottleneck. That's what it
Yeah.
was. The
yeah,
bottleneck.
Yeah,
yep,
you become the limiting factor at times and you don't see it. It's
Yeah,
like I'm too involved in too many aspects of this. I need to trust people that God has sent and that have
yeah,
shown themselves trustworthy and give them some of these key responsibilities. And let them go. Give them some supervision, obviously some direction, check in with them, but yeah, turn it over and let other people play.
yeah.
yeah.
You guys think that being bivocational or mainly another vocation uh, has a big part to play in that type of mentality?
Eric could talk better than me, man, because I've never been on the other side of it. I mean, it seems
He's
like it to me.
he's not bivocational, he's just unpaid.
Yeah, yeah, he's straight a vocation and then does the
Yeah,
pastoring.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've
yeah.
never been on the
Um,
other side of it. It seems like it to me. It seems like if you've got experience in, doing things and setting things up, and there's some there's massive amounts of crossover for me.
Mhm,
Like the feeling of getting it off the ground and staying steady and keeping it going and tugging along every day. It's
mhm,
it's almost the exact same feel. There's just been a lot of differences on like what the actual tasks are and
mhm.
and and how to lean on prayer instead of like, process in a lot of
Right.
ways.
Yeah, because
so a lot
I'm
of
full time vocational. Like I get paid to do this, so like I
Mhm.
feel like the bottleneck sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
right
well, I'm
on.
Well, I
paid
think
to be
what I
here.
think however you design it has
Mhm,
implications, right?
right.
So it's not bivocational alone. It's like any way you design a church is going to have it's going to play out in certain ways, right? So one of the ways I think that bivocational does is it probably forces the planter um, to decide like what we're going to do and what we're not going to do
It's good.
because there's just a matter of time. So it
Right.
probably forces you to streamline programming, not do all the things that maybe you would have time to do if you were full time.
Sure.
Yeah.
It forces you in that same way to it should force you to be more of a delegator. to be like, hey, I literally can't do that. I don't have time.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, that's great. Let's talk about it. But if you don't want to do it, or if someone else doesn't want to do it, we're just not going to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Can I
It's
give a practical
yeah,
example of
sure.
that?
Yeah, please.
So like when we launched, I listened to story after story after story of these church planners. Eric, I talked to you. I talked to a couple other guys, and I kept hearing the same thing over and over. Now, eventually, we hope to change into this as well. But the thing I heard over and over was like, man, having a worship leader and having a production on stage is a weekly exhaustion to try to make sure is running smooth. And so, like, had no idea if this was going to work, but we just threw some really nice screens up. We found Worship House Media. We started playing lyric videos that we had the licensing for. And man, it has been amazing. Like our hope is to find a worship leader. Our hope is to get that going up there. But we're 1 year in, it's been growing. People are raising their voices up to God. We're singing. But that came from a lot of what you just talked about, Eric, from my heart. I was like, I don't think we're going to have the time, energy, or money to go track down, the best worship leader in all of Middle Tennessee and try to figure out how we're going to go into debt paying him to get over here to grow a church.
Right. Right.
So we
Yeah.
just came up with a
Sure.
really reproducible model just to get off the ground, see what happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. So, like we're gonna take our second episode and talk about the disciple making. But tell us, we've talked about some of the, the numbers and the pressures and some of that. Talk
Yeah.
about, I've got construction going on in my basement. You guys hear that?
No, I don't hear it. I
Okay,
don't hear
good.
it.
I can
No,
hear it.
I hear the Oregon Air National Guard flying around outside.
Oh, okay, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Tell us a couple like people stories. Like, because I think
Mm,
at the end of the day, like my friend Derek Murphy with the ICPA, he says people are the prize. Um,
yeah.
people are the prize. So what, tell us a couple like people stories of
Mhm.
people that have landed at your church, or stories about things that have happened with people in the church that like feel good. Because I think when you talk to people like, why would I do this thing that Evan's doing? Like, why would I work a job and do? It's about people at the end of the day. So tell me some of those.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, what we set out to do, because this was a big thing when we launched, is people our some of our checks and balances were going, who are you going after? And I knew what those questions were asking, like what genre, what age group, but we intentionally kind of rocked back on our heels and said, we're going after the spiritually disconnected. So we're not going after the person who is settled into a church and really doing great kingdom things through that church. But we are going after the person that's either completely dead because they're away from Jesus, spiritually disconnected, or they have given their life to Christ. And this could be 1 year or 30 years, and they just feel spiritually disconnected. They're just like, where's my purpose? I'm literally just walking through the motions. And when we kind of defined that and prayed for that, that's when we started finding people like that. So, for example, I'm down at a graduation for a men's recovery home that we used to feed every single month, and I teach all of our up and coming leaders and all of our home group leaders ABF, always be fishing. And then we go fishing, and I teach them how to fish. No, I'm just playing. But always be fishing. So I'm down at this men's recovery graduation, and they're doing that high powered stuff, man, where it's like they've got the signs and they flip it, and it's like from addicted and on the street to saved and at home, flipping the signs, and it's
Oh,
great. And
cardboard testimony. Yeah.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
see somebody that I knew growing up that used to come in the old restaurant my dad had, and I haven't seen him in years and years and years. I mean, forever. And I was like, Alan, man, what is going on? How's it going? And out of the sea of people that were there, he's the guy that I started talking to, met his wife, and boom, just like that, they had been spiritually disconnected for a couple of years, maybe a year and a half. I can't remember the exact time frame, but I said, hey, listen, we're not very new, we're not very old. We're really, really new. We're really small. We're really young. But let me tell you what Draw Near is all about. We're all about relationships that are helping people become disciples that can make disciples one person at a time. And our entire focus is going back to belonging to God and belonging to each other. No big deal, no pressure. Just come check us out. Man, they showed up the next Sunday, and it was hilarious because they said, we drove from Jump Off, which you guys don't know where that is, but they drove 30 minutes to us. They thought the service started at 10:30. It actually starts at 10. So they were at the door at 10:30 deciding whether they were going to come in or not because they were so late.
Oh, wow.
And his wife, Jenny, was like, we're going in. And they busted up in. And as soon as they walked through the back, man, we're so small. It doesn't even matter. I was like, from the stage in the middle of the sermon, I was like, what's going on, Kings? Y'all come on in, grab some coffee, sit down. I'm just busting out the word of God. That's all. It felt like home to them so much. And that couple right there, man, let me tell you something. They are some of the hardest workers, most genuine people. They are our next up and coming group branch on our Wednesday nights. We're taking them through a 12-week series in the discipleship training manual right now. They don't even have to be asked. They just show up and go, hey, we know what it's like to be wandering through life, and this is our new home. This is where we're settling in.
Awesome.
And just tell us where we can plug in. Tell us. He came to the Gatlinburg men's retreat, and man, it's just we haven't even looked back. So that's one of the stories that I really like.
Story. I think it's interesting. Like sometimes, like in churches that have been around for a while, you've got people like that, and you don't always appreciate what you've got. You know, like every church has some people that just show up and just are the rocks. You know, but when you start something from scratch, you don't have that, and so you're like, you know, praying for like workers for the harvest and stuff. And then folks like that show up. I've told more than one person that, you know, like it's not a coincidence that the two elders we have in our church are the guys that showed up every Sunday morning for setup and are plugging in cords and stacking chairs. And they're the guys, and didn't have to ask them, never formally asked them to do it. They just show up every Sunday and hanging out with the pastor. Then they start leading groups. And it's like, you know, these are guys that are just present. They just show up every single Sunday. They just show up. And I've heard before, you know, it's great to have talent. It's great to have spiritual gifts. We're obviously looking for high capacity people, but at some point we're looking for people that are available. Some of the most talented people are the least available. You'd love to be part of your team, but they just don't have any time.
Sometimes your greatest ability is your availability.
That's my other word I'm looking for: faithful, available, intentional, teachable, humble, faith. And man, I'll tell you one thing about this couple that was just a breath of fresh air in my lungs is they're natural encouragers. You know, on the days that it feels a little bit down, on the weeks that it feels like it could have gone better, they are naturally the ones that are like, hey, we're doing it. God is in control. It's okay. Let's keep it going. And man, just to have a team forming around Katie and I that kind of have that DNA already is get out of here. It's amazing.
Well, that's awesome. Well, hey, why don't we put a bookmark there, and we'll wrap up this episode and then come back and have you talk more about disciple making. So just want to thank everyone for listening. Be sure to check out our sponsor at 9centprinting.com. If you like what we're doing, please like or subscribe where you watch or listen. And if you're interested in Small Town Network, find us online at smalltownnetwork.com. If you believe in the importance of planting disciple-making churches in smaller communities, we'd love you to consider partnering with us in prayer and financial support. You've been listening to the Small Town Pastor Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by 9centprinting.com. With over 100 5-star reviews, 9centprinting.com is ready to meet all your printing needs. Are you a church plant or a small church with no copy machine? No problem. 9cent Printing has you covered. If you need bulletins, flyers, books, cards, offering envelopes, posters, they do it all. I know the Christian owners of this business personally, and I'm not just a fan, I'm also a customer. Fast, nationwide shipping, affordable, professional, wow printing at wow prices. Check them out at 9centprinting.com.